Ang video na to ay handog ni cdkoffers.com. Marami kang mahahanap na iba't ibang uri ng software dito. May games, apps, activation codes for Windows 10. Check out our video on CDK offers in the video description. Mabilis, mura, and syempre legit dito. Madali lang mag-order, search for the software you need, add to cart, check out, daan ka sa payment options nila, wala pa isang minuto, finished. May legit working CD key ka na sa software na pinili mo. Gamitin ang aming promo code para makakuha pa ng extra 20% discount sa purchase mo. Kung naghahanap ka ng mura, legit, and original software, check out cdkoffers.com.
Alright, what's up internet? So, second episode nung Pwede Magtanong. Wag na tayo paligoy-ligoy pa. Let's get to the first question. Kasi I'm sure we have a lot of preset questions and marami rin gusto magtanong. First question from Chong. Bago siya sa pagbe-build, no clue on how to upgrade. My processor is an AMD A6-6400K API with built-in graphics, onboard graphics. He basically can't play any games, and ano bang magandang ma-upgrade para makalaro siya ng GTA or L4D?
Who wants first?
So GTA has a very low CPU requirement. So his CPU seems good na. It's his GPU that he has to upgrade. That would be my take.
Yeah, so throw in a 1660 or kahit RX 470 siguro. Medyo luma na kasi CPU niya eh.
Right, even a 460.
RX 460?
Kaya yan.
How old ba is this thing? Itong A6? Hindi ako masyadong familiar nito eh. Medyo luma na.
Yeah.
Actually, I researched on that. I researched on that mobo already. That processor. That processor dates back to second quarter of 2013.
Okay. So basically, you don't need a super expensive card like an AMD RX 460 or so will do both. And L4D also isn't a big resource hog. So yun, you can go with that. Second question from Joshua Cuevas. Can I ask? Yes, pwede ka magtanong. What is more future-proof? R5 3400G or R5 2600X? Use it for light gaming and some video editing.
Well, if I may chime in on that, sa tingin ko, well, it really depends what his definition of future-proof is. Kasi if it's bang for buck, all-in-one na siya, definitely yung APU.
The 3400G.
Yeah, it can go far. It can still do editing and light gaming. Pero future-proof in the general sense kasi is the possibility of upgrading it. So with that general definition, mas advisable talaga kung dedicated CPU so that a more powerful dedicated GPU will come along the way.
Arv?
I agree. The only value of the 3400G is if he does not have a GPU now. But if he has one now and he plans to upgrade, 2600 all the way.
Emmanuel? Sorry, Rafael, go ahead.
Well, if we're just gonna compare the two of them, CPU benchmark says that even though the Ryzen 5 2600X it was released second quarter 2018. So it's actually a much older processor, but they still give it 10 points more. In fact, in terms of desktop usage, it's at 82% versus the 3400G at 77%. Considering that the 3400G is second quarter 2019, it's still a pretty good processor, the 2600X. I would just stick with the 2600X to future-proof the computer.
So the consensus seems to be go for the 2600X, especially if you have a GPU. Kasi yung maganda doon, pwede mo i-swap out yung GPU, may luma ka, gamitin mo muna yon, okay pa yon. Tapos in the future, kung gusto mo upgrade, madali na lang to put in a graphics card kasi maganda naman yung 2600X. Next question. Or zipping along. From Kisuna. Ito medyo napagdebatihan natin off camera. Itatanong ko lang kung ba't hindi kumpletong nagagamit ang SSD ko. I think parang naka-RAID setup. RAID LIF 128GB X2 or 64X4. So bali total 256GB in a Sony Vaio Z series. Pero nakikita siya sa BIOS setting, naka-install, naka-line up siya for RAID 1234. Pero sa my computer, kulang siya ng 64 gigs. Tatlo na lang ang lumalabas. Sinusubukan ko na pong, she's tried the command line and then disk partition. Ayaw talaga lumabas ni disk 4. Dalawa kasing magkapatong ang RAID LIF. Paano malalaman kung anong plato ang may problema? And off camera, I told our tech experts na wala akong alam at all dito. So sila na bahala. Take it away, guys. Marv or yep.
I think Marv had some input here.
So one, it looks like you're using a laptop, right? So it's really hard to see which one of your disks is malfunctioning based on software kasi it looks like they're all identical drives. So what I would suggest, pretty much what I tend to do when I have multiple hard disk problems, I take everything out and then I put them back one by one. Since it's really only by trial and error. Sorry if medyo yun lang yung ma-advise ko. Pero pagdating sa hard disk problem na ganito, na pare-pareho, trial and error na ako yung ginagawa ko so far.
I agree because the first step naman usually is to check, go through Windows settings and then disk management. But as he mentioned, nagawa na yun to. Tapos wala pa rin. So if the volume isn't showing up, and by showing up meaning parang enable niya, wala pang nangyayari. Yes, trial by error, taking out one SATA port, booting it, and then seeing which one it is, and then trying it again on the other drives will definitely narrow down the culprit.
Actually, hindi ko nga maintindihan yung tanong. How many drives ba are we talking about? There are 4. Kasi naka-read, parang naka-disk setup for 4. That's what she was saying. 4 na 64, di ba? Yan yung sabi niya.
Right.
So it's either pag-intindi ko dito, it's either the user has 2 128 drives na he split into 4 partitions.
Yeah.
Or for some reason he has a laptop that has 4 slots for
for physical
hard disks,
separate
which is unlikely. So ang dyan is so a trial and error, do it on the physical level, try BIOS first or UEFI, what shows up. If it still doesn't show up there, then try it trial and error using the Windows partition after you do a physical in and out of drives.
Okay. So basically, trial and error, which actually holds true for a lot of problems sa computer. Yun talaga yung pinaka mabusisi. Yes, I mean it's hindi mabilis, pero yun talaga yung the best way to isolate ano ba talaga may problema. Which is it the drive? Is it something else? Kamote Gaming from YouTube, and I get this question kasi madali lang sagutin. Pwede pa ba na may SSD na may kasabay na HDD at the same time? Yes, walang problema yon. You can have multiple SSDs and multiple hard drives in one system. That's no problem. May mahabang tanong si Gio from Facebook. I'll get back to it later. I'll try to summarize it. But the next question dun sa preset natin is he bought a PC from someone else, not from us, 700 watts and 7 fans. And then for some reason, namamatay lang siya randomly. Ano kaya yung issue dito?
I'll take over for I'll take a first crack. Actually, it could be many things. It could be the power supply. We recently actually just built a rig, and that rig came back to us with the customer perplexed as to why hindi siya gumagana. It would restart on and off until finally it wouldn't start anymore. And then we found out it was a faulty power supply unit. Seasonic pa. So even if it's a good brand of power supply, and I think it was platinum pa, there's still always the chance of it being defective. So that's the first thing. You should check for the power supply. Second is it's usually the RAM. If you can remove the case cover and take the RAM sticks out individually one by one and then placing it back, you'll be surprised on how that might actually solve the problem. But worst case, it could be many other things. But you should always do things which don't cost money. So it doesn't cost money to take out the RAM sticks. That's number one. Of course, the power supply unit. If you have an old computer, you can take out the old PSU and see if it will work on your current PC, and then you can see if it will shut off by itself. Anyone else?
I think Rocky pretty much covered.
One other thing, aside from what you mentioned, is let's say he bought it from someone else. So let's say he picked up the item from a shop or another home and then traveled with it and installed it in his room. Marami kasing beses na gumana from point A pero hindi na gumana sa point B.
Pagdating sa point B.
Totoo yan. Super.
Even if everything is brand new or used, whatever. So this can just be a very simple case of loose connection. So again, going back to standard protocols, trial and error, take everything out, unplug all the cables, put them back in, and then see if it works. You should, as related to what Rocky mentioned, it can just be just some dirt lodged into the RAM, kuha ka lang ng eraser, wipe down mo lang, okay na yun.
Actually, may PMC RJ sa chat from Mika Fabella, Lodi RJ. What time po Valorant?
Oh, hey Mika. Pagkatapos ito.
Next question is it was actually somebody who wanted to buy the Elgato HD60S from us, and then basically yung gusto ni customer, gagamitin niya yung capture card na yun, yung HD60S. May Android phone siya, so he wanted to play on the Android phone, use the capture card, and then stream yung game niya dun sa Android phone using his laptop. I'll take this one because I had to research it. Hindi sapat yung capture card. So you do need the HD60S or something like it, pero hindi siya sapat kasi apparently Android has a protocol called HDCP. So ginagawa ng HDCP, hindi mo ma-capture yung screen ng Android. It's an anti-piracy thing. Kasi isipin mo may naka-Netflix ka sa phone mo, tas gusto mo i-record, ayaw yun ni Android. So they put the HDCP protocol in place. So in addition to the capture card, like the HD60S, you do need an HDMI splitter that will scrub or tinatanggal niya yung HDCP protocol. Pagkatapos nun, pwede mo na i-stream. So, you connect everything, your phone to the splitter, and then the splitter to the capture card to the laptop or the computer. Afterwards, okay na yun. That should work. Pero yung capture card lang by itself for the Android, hindi siya gagana. Kulang pa yun. Next question. Sorry, did you guys wanna add anything?
Sorry. Yeah. Does anyone want to add to that?
Not on my end.
I was gonna take Poch Salonga's question. Hi,
sure,
I'd like
go.
to ask a question. Why does my computer freeze in the monitor and disable sound every time I bump or every time I slam the drawer of the table hard? Parang I used to remember this being a problem younger. Like sometimes a loud sound would start to happen and then it freezes and it dies. I think that's a loose hard drive. Or something is loose, definitely, diba? Have you guys encountered that in the past, in recent history? Because that stopped happening to me a long time ago.
Marv, RJ?
RJ?
Oh, RJ, we lost your audio, RJ. We can't hear you.
Sorry.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So what's your take?
So definitely my very first PC that happened because I was still medyo noob talaga. Yung yung cables that attach the input-output of the PC case to the motherboard, yung HDD, yung power LED, na-invert ko. So I didn't know that was the cause. But every time I tapped it, kahit sobrang light lang,
Magana na
parang
siya.
nagre-restart siya or off na siya. Or, Whoa. So,
Inverted
yan.
cabling.
Right. So I reattached everything again, but ganun pa rin. And then I realized, I checked the motherboard manual. Yun, inverted nga yung cable, yung connections ko. So once I put it back, okay na.
And if he's slamming the drawer that's where the computer is resting on, so it's not just sound vibration, it's introducing physical vibration, di ba? So something might be loose nga talaga. Kasi, wait, hold on. There, I just kicked my computer and shut off naman. So,
Ayun, live demo.
Live.
Oh,
Ang galing.
Well, thank you for that question, Poch. Okay, bro. Anton, we're ready to move on.
That's Marvin taking one for the team eh. Tingnan mo, napaka okay lang talagang hands-on demo. Oh. But just as we would not recommend hitting your computer, yeah, or slamming things. I mean, basically you want that stable. You don't want to be fooling around with that. Even kahit walang loose na settings, parang konting ano naman. Take care of your machine. The next question. Don't send that back to us. Alam na namin na inabuso mo yan. Next question is, hindi ba mag-run ng computer pag walang GPU? I chose this question actually because it's a nice, simple question. Parang maybe for more advanced users, sobrang dali lang nung sagot. But some people, I mean, it is a concern for a lot of users. So, tatakba ba ang computer kung walang GPU? RJ?
What I would assume kung wala siyang onboard graphics card, yes, usually the motherboard won't continue the post. It won't, first of all, you won't see anything on your monitor. So even if your whole PC has its lights on, the fans are running, it's not gonna go anywhere internally or through Windows. Pero if you have a motherboard with an IGP, an onboard graphics card, kahit wala kang dedicated GPU, default settings will continue with the onboard graphics card. Unless, pwede rin na naka-off. And then you have to manually go into the BIOS. But to answer the question, universally, it won't go. It won't push through.
However, if I can just jump in quickly, I researched that all Intel processors actually have an iGPU. So anything from the 4th to the 8th generation CPU from Intel, they all have onboard graphics. Can anyone attest to this?
No, it's
Meaning,
depends on the prefix. Like if there's an F at the end of the numbers, that means wala siyang onboard graphics. You need to check pa rin.
Okay.
Usually F means na wala. For Intel for Intel. Yeah, so you do need onboard graphics kung wala kang graphics card. Hindi siya sapat na, I mean, for some users, they see lang na may connection sa yung motherboard, so siguro pwede na yun, pero hindi pa yun sapat. Even if you have a CPU, you still need either a dedicated GPU or onboard graphics on that CPU.
If we can, before we end it one last time, because we have had like we have 4 customers already repeating the same mistake. Like for instance, they want to plug in their monitor to their computer, but they keep plugging the HDMI cable into the motherboard and not the graphics card. So if you ever wonder why you need the graphics card, it's simple. Even though my HDMI port in yung mobo, but it just won't work because the graphics or the visual actually comes from the graphics card. Unless, of course, my onboard graphics card. That's why you always plug your HDMI, if it's HDMI, Two, the video card. And if you try to do it with the mobo, it won't work.
And just huling hirit para sa mga pilosopo, of course, if you're running your computer as a headless server or something, then fine, you don't need a GPU.
Yeah.
So if you want a computer with a attached monitor, generally yes, you need a GPU.
Okay, sounds good. This next question is from from our Facebook personal message. Basically, yung problema dito, yung RAM niya, bumili siya ng T-Force Delta 3200 MHz. Pero nung chinek niya sa CPU-Z, yung lumalabas na speed, mga 1598 MHz lang. 1598 sa mga 16 basically. So ito yung screenshot nung BIOS niya. Medyo mahirap makita, pero yung profile 2, you can see it set to DDR for 3200 MHz. So, nahihirapan si customer kung bakit na... Why did I lose my... Oh,
Si Marvin.
Marvin,
AFK.
Oh no.
okay. Siguro he'll...
And down.
Siguro sige, we'll try to get him back. But the problem of the customer here was na 3200 MHz dapat yung RAM, pero 1.6 lang lumalabas sa CPU-Z. And he was like, what's up with that? Pero actually normal lang yun. Because DDR stands for double data rate. So lahat ng DDR4 na RAM, actually yung speed nun, it's really times 2. So when we're talking about 3200 MHz, actually yung actual speed lang ng RAM 1.6. But yung kagandahan or yung special feature ni DDR, it can both read and write twice in one cycle. Kaya siya nagta-times 2. So 1.6 becomes 3.2. So that's perfectly normal. 3.2 MHz yung RAM, pero 1.6 lang lumalabas sa CPU-Z. That is, everything is okay. Di ka nadaya, hindi peke yung RAM mo, lahat gumagana. That's really how it is. Kasi DDR nga, double data rate. And it's just one of those things, di ba? Parang praning ka na naloko ka or hindi gumagana, hindi tama yung pagka-setup mo. Pero, yun, in this case, tama naman yun. Yeah, if you guys wanna jump in with more RAM, daming nagtatanong kasi about RAM speeds, XMP profiles.
No, you answered it perfectly na. So tama yun. DDR is double
DDR.
data rate. So what you really see when you buy a pack of let's say double stick 3200 MHz RAM, yan yung DDR rate niya. So if you go to CPU-Z, you will definitely see half of that advertised rate. Pero what a lot of related to that lang is a lot of people have asked how come I bought, let's say, 3200 MHz RAM, pero pagsalpak niya 2133 lang. So what a lot of people don't know is just because you have purchased RAM doesn't mean it's gonna work in your motherboard if it's not supported. So always check lang kung supported yung specific RAM na nabili mo.
Yeah, kasi parang customers fixate na, basta ito nakalagay 3200
Right.
MHz, 3.6, pero may settings pa yun. And kahit tama naman yung settings, yun nga, kung tingnan mo sa CPU-Z, divided by 2 siya kasi ganun nga yung nature nung DDR.
Right.
Marami lang na prapraning about RAM or about ano. Yep. Next question is, mahirap din to. Ask ko lang sana about having two M.2s with different bandwidth. Naka Samsung Evo siya 500GB and also an Evo Plus 1TB. Mobo is Z390 Asus. Pag nakalagay yung dalawa, mabagal yung system. Then pag nasa BIOS, nagahang. Is it a problem with the bandwidth of the two M.2s? And then maybe someone can explain first, like what's the issue with the bandwidth in regards to PCIe and M.2 in general.
From my limited experience with M.2s, actually I only have one sa PCIe slot ko. How I understand it is your M.2 will be using the PCIe slot that the motherboard specified it to be in. So, kunyari sa akin, nasa X16 slot siya, right behind my graphics card. I'm gonna share the same bandwidth of my graphics card. Now, if it's X16, my graphics card will now be lower than X8. So if that generally that's usually where the first M.2 slot is. I personally don't have one na my pangalawang M.2 slot. Pero I do know that others who have also share the same bandwidth as SATA. And when they do share the same bandwidth as SATA, or let's say the next PCIe slot, some SATA slots are disabled. So if maybe we can circle back na lang to this user who asked the question. If he has other HDDs, kasi kung ganun, definitely ma-affect yung performance niya.
Arv?
I'm assuming kasi his OS is on one of the Evo, the
Right.
SSDs, right? So
This is not livable.
from what I from,
Parang
from
hirap.
what I've read from M2s, because I've considered putting M2s on my computers for quite some time. So I've done some research on it. Practically speaking, there should be no problem. I mean, if one, let's say, if one downgrades to the lower bandwidth of the other, SSDs are so fast that it pretty much shouldn't be something that you'd say na
Noticeably, ano eh, no?
babagal yung
Oo,
system,
yeah.
di ba? Parang system eh. I get ko pa kung if you said babagal yung when he's doing rendering or some intensive tasks, di ba? Pero the system itself na parang hindi yata yun yung issue. He might want to do trial and error, taking one out, putting one in.
I also had to do some research on M.2s. Parang ganun nga. I mean, there's a set, parang it's like a highway, and then the more things you attach, like what RJ said, kung SATA or M.2, yun nga, the PCIe sort of gets clogged. But I agree with Marvin na hindi dapat siya ganun ka noticeable eh. It's usually more for yung mga sobrang focus sa performance, yung 2% increase or 5% increase. But yung it shouldn't be that noticeable. And actually, I did ask I followed up with this this was a Facebook inquiry na as in talagang noticeably mabagal, hindi lang yung tipong 1 second off, 2 seconds off. As in parang hindi na niya magamit eh. So hindi ko rin masabi what it is. I mean, it shouldn't be happening. They're both Samsung. Even with the disparity in the bandwidth, or let's say naka-clog up na si PCIe, una, hindi talaga dapat yan maka-clog up. I mean, 2 M.2s, di nga, parang, you know, yun nga, they should still be running and at a fairly fast speed. Hindi nga yung baka sobrang optimal, pero dapat mabilis pa din. So, it's hard to say, and we really can't give a good answer for this one. Kasi sa BIOS pa lang, nag-hang na daw eh. So, medyo uncommon talaga yun. So, balik tayo dun sa trial and error. Baka you try one drive first and then the other. Maybe one drive is defective. Or baka yung isang doon sa mobo mismo, baka yung M.2 slot, yung isa defective talaga. Hard to say. Pero, malinaw na may problema talaga somewhere. There's really something wrong with that. It shouldn't be performing like that. Rafael, wanna jump in? I think kasi my PC sobrang luma, walang M.2 to. I can't remember if yours has.
No, mine is SATA actually. So to be honest, I don't know. I don't know what it's like to have an M.2 SSD. Kasi I'm really happy already with the SATA. We had nga some actually related. We had a customer. He just bought a rig from us. We're building it on Monday. We have a SATA 500 gigabyte Samsung SSD being installed, and we suggested that he would also put a 1 terabyte HDD kasi medyo mahirap na yung buong PC mo, 500 gigabytes lang na SSD. medyo mahirap yan. Like, where are you gonna put your videos? And then sabi niya, hindi pa, if I put an HDD, it will slow down the entire PC. So I said, no. HDD is really for the place where you put the stuff you don't really need to make it fast. Like, yung mga photos, yung mga TV shows nyo. Tapos yung mga competitive gaming goes on the SSD. But like, as I told the customer, like, if you play StarCraft 2, like me, you can play StarCraft 2 on the HDD and you won't notice anything. I tell you, I think mine's on HDD. I can't notice a thing.
I don't know nga why there's this misconception na hindi mo pwede pagsama yung SSD tsaka HDD sa isang system, or bumabagal si SSD or bumabagal si HDD. That's perfectly fine, guys. Yeah, I have a...
Yeah, they're completely separate things. They don't interact with each other. Is that I don't know if they I guess they do, but then they don't affect each other.
Well, they're both drive. I mean, they're both storage. I mean,
yeah, but anyway, they won't slow each other down. That's
Yes.
I mean, it's very clear. Yeah.
ito from David James Faustino from YouTube, and everybody gets to answer this question. Tanong ko lang po kung okay kayo. Sana okay lang kayo. Salamat po. Anybody wanna... I'm okay. As everybody else on the panel, I'm doing pretty chipper.
Yeah, we're good.
Thank
My
you.
back hurts a little bit because I was replying to everybody this morning all the way until this afternoon. But other than that, ox lang.
Medyo pagod pero
Oh.
TGIF.
Oh, Friday.
That's Friday.
So
Friday.
thanks for asking, David James. And then so medyo midway na tayo sa show. This is where we take a break from the questions and we have like a lightning round na 5 minutes on a certain topic. Yung topic pa rin natin ngayon is the 3000 series nung RTX. And in particular, medyo sumikat kasi si PC Works this week. May promo sila. And then yung thing nila, may RTX 3000 kami. We're gonna put it at the retail price, tapos magbe-bid kayo, and the highest bidder gets the RTX card. So marami nagalit doon, and PC Works, like in a couple of hours, I think, I remember they had to pull the promo. So just your thoughts on the 3000 series in general, and the promo in particular. And then we're not bashing PC Works, we're just sort of ako personally, when it comes to my turn, actually di ko siya ibabash. But well, just your comments. What do you think about this promo, which they quote unquote says was not well thought out?
Sige, I'll start.
Go Rock.
Actually, there is in the States, something similar happened. Everyone bought all the originals and then they went to eBay to sell it. And then after that, in order to get back at these people for the bidding, a lot of people decided to bid crazy amounts which they didn't expect to actually pay for. So since the amount was so high, no one attempted to bid anymore. So actually, the gaming community was actually policing something similar abroad as well. For me, about I think PC Works because it was also just they wanted people to get excited. I think everyone is so excited that no one really thinks about what's going to happen once you actually put in a contest like this. Because it's really exciting to have the card, and then maybe they were looking for people to be like, oh, game, share it around. And that just goes to show now what other people think is exciting is not very exciting for other people. So it's a very human thing.
I agree. For me, the way I look at it is, I agree with you, Rock, about creating excitement because there's just so much hype with the RTX 3000 series.
Super.
No doubt. And yes, there is a very limited supply. But I think hoping that their aim was to just create buzz to their brand, and this goes for anybody, for any individual or organization naman. Parang it having a bid just like eBay is just definitely not the way to go. Especially if the extra amount above the SRP is going to them. So maybe having a raffle would have been better, or some kind of a cause. But yes,
Yeah,
they
pause.
they a lot of consumers, if not most, look up to retailers like PC Works, and parang to police scalpers. So having one to create that buzz in that way was just um I guess bothersome for the community.
Arf?
On my end, PC Works kasi it's known for its good prices. So they generally don't have parang that's where they position themselves eh. They don't market as a premium brand where they put a lot of markup. So I guess that's where the ano, that's the problem once the bidding price went up the retail price. So it people weren't expecting that. So when dissonance happens, people get upset. So they could have done it a little better, or maybe they could have just done one. We will release para may isa kang unit advanced. Yun yung papabid mo. And then at a later date, 4 days later, yun, free for all yun. First come, first serve. That could have been, rather than selling their entire complete stock. At least that's how I read the promo. Na,
Lahat.
I mean, yung kung ano yung initial stock nila, lahat yun yung ano nila. It would have
Covered
been
by...
better if isa lang. Para lang yun nga, just enough to create the buzz. Para lang, yeah, fine. Someone with a lot of money can get the unit first, which is true for most things naman talaga. But it would still allow yung sariling sikap na mauuna ka doon, give someone else a fighting chance, I guess. Yun yung naging issue dito.
For me, parang I sort of sympathize with PC Works. Although misguided nga yung promo. Parang, yes, they wanted to create hype, but also na the supply is so limited. Everybody thinks kasi na parang you need, kung favorite ka ng isang shop, kung may suki ka sa loob. Actually, kahit kami, when Hardware Sugar approaches the suppliers, sinasabi rin ng suppliers, yung contact persons namin sa suppliers na, sir, wala pang naka-allocate sa akin. So even among the distributors, parang palakasan sa loob. Yung maganda sa PC Works, malinaw, walang palakasan. The highest bidder gets it. But that creates its own problems because we're very price oriented, 'di ba? Parang hindi maganda tingnan eh. Parang price gouging, may nagbe-bring up pa nga na dapat i-regulate ng DTI. Although
Oy, grabe. I did not know that.
hindi naman yung basic good, okay? Hindi naman itlog, hindi naman yan gata. So it's unlikely DTI would get involved. Pero it doesn't look good kasi it's a price, parang everybody wants it and then parang you're taking advantage of it. Although yun nga, yung one good aspect about it is na yun nga, it's transparent who gets it. Hindi yung palakasan sa loob, kilala mo yung may-ari. Lots of customers in Hardware Sugar have come up to us tas medyo parang they kind of whisper na, uy, may 3,000 ba kayo? Na parang, atin-atin lang. Oh. Yeah, like in the store, like, usually kasi I'm on Saturday, konti lang yung pumapasok, that's really by appointment. Like, you tell me you'll come in, I'll be there. So they'll be like, oh, may 3,000 series. Like, parang may nakatago kami sa loob. Which we don't have any. We're trying. Pero ang hirap talaga makakuha, even for retailers. Of course, yun nga, we're only a small PC shop. So that's one thing I thought of, na at least transparent naman si PC Works, but yun nga, hindi siya, other aspects of it were not well thought out, and there was a big public backlash against them. And in general, sobrang wild nung hype nung 3000 series. We are still trying to get, just for the official, just officially stating that Hardware Sugar does not have any. We're not hiding any. Hindi yan naka-install sa PC ni Rafael. And then yan yung gamit niya pang StarCraft. So wala pa po talaga kami. I don't know, actually ang daming lumalabas sa Facebook na meron eh. Some retailers, some individuals. I don't know how they got that. Kasi all of our usual suppliers still have not been able to give us. And ayun, mahirap talaga makakuha even for retailers.
Let's take a question from Rafael Ismael. Question for Hardware Sugar. Will any of you get a 3000 series for your personal rigs within the next 3 years? I told Anton that I might get like within 2 years,
What?
And then Anton said, okay lang kasi he'll just get
Ko
my 2080 Ti.
kunin ko na 2080 Ti mo. Anong gagawin? Gagawin sa 3000 series na yan.
I don't know. I
Ah.
like parang you just want it sometimes. Like, oh, kasi dati 2080 Ti ako. Ngayon, panis na eh. But at the same time, hindi ko naman ginagamit yung 2080 Ti ako to its full, no? I don't
Yeah.
know. It's consumerism at its best talaga.
For me, the only way I would consider getting something is if I can also afford the entire ecosystem that goes with it. Kasi why get a 390 if your monitor is 1080p? It's not even
Right.
yeah. So if I had a kick-ass monitor, then that's not being fully utilized, and I had an overpowered CPU, possibly. But in the next 3 years, I don't see that happening.
I just upgraded to a 5700 XT from AMD, and it's doing very well on my setup. So 2K resolution, 144 hertz. All I play naman right now are Modern Warfare, Valorant. So medyo closer pa to esports game titles. And if I guess there's a AAA game in the next year or so that really pushes its limits, then I'll have to think about it na.
Wala kang driver issues, RJ? Dami kasi nakaka-issue dun sa 5700 eh.
Not
XT.
honestly at the start, yes. When did I purchase this? April. So the fourth month, yes, initially there were some black or flickering issues, but I would say in less than a month,
Their latest
their
patch
latest
update
driver
drivers.
fixed everything now for me. So that's the Power Color Red Devil version.
And you didn't need to flash the BIOS. The driver update was
No.
enough.
Wala.
Ah.
Latest drivers lang.
Daming hassle. Actually, to be honest, we were kinda hesitant about. We used to carry it, but then parang I'm hesitant to restock kasi yun nga ang hassle, ang hirap eh. Ang paminsan
Right.
nakaka-issue talaga.
A lot of people liked it kasi there are several games where it matches a 280 for like
Pound for pound.
yeah, fraction of the price.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the break. Moving on to the next question. Troubleshooting advice. I have a Gigabyte B450 Aorus with an R5 3600 GTX 1660. This is also a hard one. I noticed that my BIOS settings keep getting set to default whenever I connect or disconnect a peripheral from my I/O port. He's already updated the BIOS to the latest version. So this is very uncommon or it's medyo esoteric na. Has anybody had any experience with this na yun nga, whenever he disconnects a peripheral, and then I asked him basically kahit ano USB or something, nagre-reset yung BIOS settings to default.
I've
Kahit
I've had-
USB.
Kahit anything na tinatanggal niya. Oh. RJ?
No, si I think Marv has.
I know, go RJ. I was just asking because I thought it was some other peripherals he was talking about. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I think generally USB, no, and peripherals like let's say an external hard drive or
Mouse.
mouse, keyboard. My only experience there is that could be two things. One is the motherboard settings have a security parang ano, how do I say it ba? Parang a security setting that that restarts the BIOS the optimal settings whenever yun nga you change let's say a hard drive or you take one, let's say you had a mouse connected to a USB when you booted the PC, changed the settings, and then the next time it it wasn't there. There are some motherboards that have like a security setting that resets the whole BIOS. And one more possible scenario is that fast boot. So a lot of motherboards have very different kinds of fast boots. But to me, um, I've grown to, I guess, I've gotten used to disabling it because it does give a lot of issues sometimes, and that's definitely one possibility. So if he can try to disable fast boot, he might fix the problem.
Or ano yung fast boot? To be honest, I'm not familiar. I haven't used it.
Parang it tries to cut down on what it loads, especially
Ah,
visually. So you won't see na the 8192 RAM or the operating system listing all the details. It's just the Windows logo or the mobo brand logo and then Windows.
ah. Or
The weird thing is why is his default going to CSM enabled? Uh, there must be some compatibility issues going on, whether with his hardware or his uh, installation of Windows. Because for new computers, I mean, if you're running relatively Windows 10 and then you're not running some legacy devices, uh, CSM wouldn't be detected as being required to be the default. In fact, CSM would be disabled. I mean, it's not something that turns on automatically. So the fact that it is happening together with the boot the boot drive disappearing, I mean the order of boot drive disappearing, there must be some compatibility issues going on.
you think with the drives?
The drive, this maybe we don't know what Windows he's running. I'm assuming he's running a Windows 10 na because this is
Seems modern.
kaya yeah. But sabi niya USB, even like a mouse or something that would trigger it.
Parang when I asked him, any peripheral daw. So, yun, kahit, yun, yun basta USB or kahit ano. I don't know, it's, again, one
Yeah.
of these very tough questions na medyo, it could be a lot of things or it's also very uncommon a little bit. Difficult to say. But ayun, so both RJ and Marvin have given possible options, and if you're listening, if you're watching, baka pwede mo subukan and let us know how it turned out. Next question is this one is ano. Basically, ano ba magandang GPU for an i5-7400?
I
Is that a quad core? 7 series.
I'm not too familiar, to be honest. This is better than the CPU I have now.
Actually,
So,
actually the graphics card that sorry, let me check the question again.
he's asking kung okay ba yung 1650. I guess.
Ah, actually, I checked bottleneck calculator kanina. Actually, if on 4040p, it on some games, most of the games actually, he'll get 67 frames per second on Call of Duty Warzone with the 1650 and 110 frames at Counter Strike Global Offensive. So, but if he wants to downgrade, the next option, the best card is the RX 570. But hey, guess what? You can get 64 frames per second with Red Dead Redemption 2. That's something because Red Dead is crazy.
yeah,
Of
yeah.
course, that's on low settings. But
So, so
you're when you play Red Dead, you're there for the gameplay naman, and the graphics is just a cool bonus. But the game is great. 60 frames is pretty good.
is that 2K resolution
No,
or the 40p?
this is at 1440p.
Yeah. So yeah, if those are the rates, 1650 would do very well with this CPU. And to add to that, a lot of people ask me if they should upgrade their CPU together with their GPU also. And I think it's a misconception that you always have to upgrade them together. You can go very far with the latest CPU. It'll last you for several years. Um, if you really want bang for buck and to see your frames go up, for especially for gaming, upgrading your GPU will always be the best route.
I agree. especially for gaming, parang it's the GPU is the most important thing, and then yeah, so palaging nababring up yung bottlenecking, but in the greater scheme of things, yeah, value for money, bang for buck, usually the best and easiest way to do it is just to upgrade your GPU, and very noticeable yung performance gains for gaming.
When you say easiest, it's literally you just take out one card and
Yeah.
you slip in the next one. There
Yeah.
are hardly any other things that you need to monkey around with.
Well, yeah.
Bracket.
Yeah.
Fans.
Update the drivers kung ano.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And Windows has never required the reinstallation, no, with GPU or license problems. No, it's only motherboards
yeah.
or yeah.
Parang Windows doesn't care. Yeah, it doesn't track it for its activation settings. We had a question through the chat. I lost track on Facebook or YouTube, but basically it was sapat na ba yung Windows Defender to keep you safe from viruses and stuff? And ako personally, that's what I use. I don't use any other third-party program. Wala namang Avast, wala namang mga Kaspersky, wala namang mga McAfee. Windows Defender will do its job, but you also need to do your part. Don't go clicking on unknown exe files. Don't go visiting sites, or kung kailangan mo talaga bumisita sa mga sites na yan, don't go clicking kung saan-saan. So basic protection also. But Windows Defender on its own, libre, it's pretty good. Ako personally, that's all I use. Guys?
We have sorry, before we go further. Si Mario Shimizu has a question for RJ. Anong ginagamit yung mic condenser mixer?
This is the mic is a Samsung C01U Pro. There you go.
Yon.
Di ako rinig. Masyado rinig dito. So, actually, when I got this during like the first week of the lockdown, and grabe, everyone got sold out mga condenser mics. Everyone wanted to stream or of course have better audio if they're gonna be on a Zoom call. So I didn't really think about it much, but I did go to an audio store. So if you really want audio quality to be priority, you go to, let's say, Audiophile, JB Music, over the gaming brands. That's what I highly recommend. So did he ask what the audio interface is?
No, he asked for the no, he didn't naman.
Oh yeah.
He said thank you, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome.
Oh, and sorry, shout out to our blockmate Carlo Cruz in the chat.
Yun, hey Carlo.
So next question. Pwede po kayo gumawa ng video tutorial how to fix GPU driver installation errors? Yeah, so anybody would just want to run through the basics on how to... We've talked a lot about GPUs and how swapping out one with a new one will really improve performance. Just yung basics on what to do, like you have an old one and then mag-install ka ng bago.
Did he give an example of what his existing one is, or his old one and his new one?
No, but his concern is pag i-install po namin yung GPU driver, bigla na lang ho mamamatay yung monitor. Which actually...
It's normal.
Yeah, happens.
It's normal actually when you install GPU drivers.
Does it say like if it goes back or talagang naka-blank screen lang siya?
Wala eh.
Kasi dalawang scenario yun. But generally, if you're updating your graphics driver, especially if you're switching from one brand to the other, and there are only really two, diba? So if you're coming from AMD to NVIDIA or vice versa, I highly recommend actually don't remember that. I think it's called DDU. What it does is it completely removes. It finds all of your drivers, and if you click NVIDIA, it's gonna remove all of the NVIDIA drivers, all of the updates. And sometimes it's hard to do manually. So what it does is create a clean slate for your new graphics driver.
We had an old customer actually, he had a 1080, then he wanted to we upgraded him to a 2080 Super. And then for the longest time it was fine, but then just recently nagkaka-issue, like he would be playing tapos magba-black screen, but you could still hear the game audio, tumatakbo pa rin yung computer. So at first we thought it was PSU. I thought it might be the HDMI or the output of the graphics card, but basically he just wiped all the drivers, reinstalled the drivers, and then so far okay naman siya. So yeah, drivers are a big part, and a big part is cleaning up the old drivers. Hindi lang hindi lang sapat na maglagay ng bago. You gotta clean up the old ones. Tanggalin mo talaga lahat with some tool like the DRU, or parang there's another tool but I can't remember now.
Actually,
Parang
no. What I use is NVIDIA GeForce Experience. That one, it just downloads all the updated drivers by itself.
yeah, but then you need to clean out. I mean, well, it should clean out the old ones also, but I don't know how thorough the AMD or the NVIDIA ones are.
That's true. I haven't
Yeah.
seen if it gets rid of the old stuff.
Especially for me, I switched from a 1070, a GTX 1070 to the 5700 XT. And quite honestly, especially with the existing driver issues of the 5700, I actually had to reformat my
the whole
my
thing.
PC,
Yeah.
my Windows. Yeah, the drivers, even though clean, couldn't do it.
But then after the fresh install, okay na lahat. Parang
Okay na.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Oscar from Facebook and Chobideer, sorry, says DDU Display Driver Uninstaller. So
Yep, that's it.
confirmed yung DDU. Yeah, so if you get a new card or anything, or even if you're having problems with your existing card, try fresh install, get rid of the old drivers, put in the new ones, and if not, yun nga sa experience ni RJ, try getting a fresh install of Windows. Next. That's the boot drive. Justin says, ano po magandang graphics card for an AMD A6-6400K? Is this sort of like one of the earlier questions? Now we said parang RX 480. Di ba medyo ka level niya to?
No, actually, this is
Ay, ba to?
significantly lower. Yung 6300. If he parang kasi magandang graphics card. If he's really planning to stick with the AMD A400, even the 550 series would be enough to max out that card. Parang after 550, diminishing returns na. So, unless he also plans, but if he plans to upgrade the CPU somewhere down the line, then don't let your existing CPU dictate your choice of a motherboard. Go with the most expensive that you can afford in your budget para mas future-proof siya.
Sorry, so it's an RX 500 series?
550. 550. At that level lang, parang tugma na yung dalawang
with the
CPU
A4
at GPU.
Okay.
Yeah, once you start going 560, the GPU is outstripping the AMD na.
Magba-bottleneck na. This mobo actually I see a lot for this kind of medyo entry level build. Itong Emax, basta Emax and then may iCafe. So it is that kind of build para medyo entry level, just para maka-gaming konti, parang ganon. But yeah, an RX 500 series card would do well based on Marvin's reco. RJ?
Yeah, definitely if it's at that tier, and especially with the, let's say, the motherboard, no, what you have to think about is the whole PC setup, and if you're sticking with the CPU as Marvin mentioned, and then the motherboard, going above, let's say, the 5500 series, or just putting a lot of money into a GPU will not really make sense unless you upgrade everything else.
From our Facebook, Hans Fausto, who was one of our first, he was very early customer. I remember definitely within the first 6 months ata to si Hans, and he stuck around. He comments a lot on our Facebook. So thank you, Hans, for joining us. And his question is, should he get 2 new 16GB RAMs or get a new mobo with 4 slots for 4x 8GB? So I think naka 2 DIMM slots lang kasi yung mobo niya ngayon, yung B450M Gaming Plus. So parang he really wants to get to 32 gigabytes RAM. So should he just bite the bullet and get a new mobo para maka 4 DIMM slots, or stick with his current mobo and then get 2x16 to get 32? I believe that
I would
mobo
get
was
the
also
RAM.
from us. The
Diba?
2x16.
Yeah.
Less hassle. Diretso na.
Mm.
Baka he doesn't want to, parang nasasayangan siya sa current RAM niya. Di ba medyo ano?
That's true.
So the thought process is, if I get a new mobo, I don't waste the old RAM, then I just buy 2 additional sticks.
I
Th-
see.
th-
Yeah.
Then what do you do with your old mobile?
No,
Then you waste your old mobile.
that's true.
Well, if
Sorry,
money's not an issue,
he
then definitely.
he added kasi it's also hard to get 16 sticks now, 2x16. Although meron on stocks hardware, Sugar.
We used to actually have.
Yeah.
I know. I think we're.
Yeah.
No, actually, what we
Yeah.
have is the 1x16.
Yeah, so you get two like that. Maging 2x16.
No, but we also used to sell the 2x16.
Yeah.
G-Skill,
Yeah. Now we have the 1x16 of Kingston HyperX.
which I think is sorry, it's sold out. No, sorry. We have
No.
5. We have 5 of them. We have 5.
Ayun.
Yeah.
Drop the link. Link mo na.
Yeah, so I mean, Marvin has a good point. Either way, something's gonna get left behind, right? Whether it's the mobo or the old RAM sticks. Pero ako sa'yo, Hans, upgrade mo na yan. Luma na PC mo. Hardware Sugar's 2 years old. Luma na yan. Todo upgrade na yan. Next question. I'm wondering if you guys can help me. He's had this problem since he started building. The CPU is an R3-2200G. The first time he installed Windows 10, he was getting driver errors for display adapters. He updated Windows and updated the Radeon drivers. Then today, I recently changed my drive to an SSD, and then my PC just started doing nothing. And then my issue today is that I can't update my Windows 10 and I can't install the AMD drivers. The question is a bit difficult to follow, to be honest, but parang medyo okay naman siya until he got an SSD and then biglang di na gumana PC niya. Parang ganun yung dating.
Oh. So
Yeah.
does it mean he?
Na-challenge yung issue spotting eh.
Yeah, you need it's better, guys, if you're very straightforward, and then but yung step by step, like it was okay but then 1 2 3. Kasi parang kung yung buong kwento mahirap maano eh. But anyway, from what we can decipher,
It sounds like maybe. Well, I'm assuming, reading the question, that he reinstalled Windows on the new SSD. It's because he tried cloning his HDD to the SSD and it did not work. So if he has an existing one now, it could just be a simple corrupt installation, and that happens very often.
especially when you try to clone it, no? A lot of people kasi don't want to have a fresh install. They like the Windows the way it is.
Right.
Parang ano, but the cloning is a lot of trouble eh. Parang hindi siya 100%.
You create an image and then you back up that image.
Yeah.
So yeah, if he has nothing important in the existing SSD, first step I would really recommend is a reformat, reinstall.
I think what he needs
sorry.
to do. Sorry, go ahead, Marvin.
No, go Rocky.
If his old OS was on the hard drive, and then all of a sudden, maybe he should back up whatever's on the hard drive. So if he takes out the SSD muna, moves out all the important documents and pictures from his hard drive to another hard drive, and then reformat everything, and then you get the Microsoft Windows USB installer stick. You put Microsoft installer on the USB, and then you just put in the SSD drive, and then that's how you do the fresh install na lang. So yeah, essentially borrowing from RJ, just reformat everything, but make sure you get what you need before you do it.
So, just trying to go with the sequence of his.
Here's the question again.
narration.
Sorry.
So, sinabi niya, nag-SSD siya. He changed his drive to an SSD. So, you would assume that yung normal assumption is, nilipat niya yung OS niya to SSD. Right?
Mhm.
But then later, so baka nag-fresh install na siya noon. Kasi yung last step niya is he cloned his HDD OS to the new SSD. So, it doesn't, parang hindi ano yung sequential, yung sequence ng events. So, given that, and my brother recently did some cloning. Not all of the cloning software work very well. He had to go through a couple before one finally worked. So, a reformat of the OS at the very least, as Rocky and RJ has said, seems to be the only way to go, given that it seems you tried other stuff na rin. So, yeah, unfortunately, reinstallation is the way to go.
Or actually, it's possible that the SSD drive might be defective. Did anyone consider that? Kasi bago siya. I mean, maybe it's not working because defective yung hard drive. I mean, I don't know how sensitive are SSD drives, but the hard drive is still a bunch of fans inside. If you drop that or if it got delivered, tapos
Right.
it got dropped on the way. Hard drives are very sensitive.
I agree. And just to add a small bit to what you mentioned was if you have a new SSD or a new motherboard, um the SATA cables, I don't know, some of them won't work with the new SSD and some of them won't work
Like
with your new
random lang. Parang they should be the same, right? I mean, SATA
I
cable.
know, yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So I've gone through so much trouble with so many motherboards and SSDs that I've come to a point where, okay, if I have a new motherboard, I will throw away all of the new SATA cables. So we don't know how old or new the motherboard is. So maybe trying a different SATA cable will work. Simple as that.
Idea.
Okay. Chi Hong Song from YouTube, because he asked this question several times already. I noticed it pop up often. Basically, he's asking kung bibili ba siya ng RTX 2060 or should he wait for the 3000 series. And a lot of people are basically asking this question. Number one is based on a couple of assumptions. Nabababa yung price ng 2060. Number two, na may magkaka-stock ng 3000 series. And number three, parang you can live with, if you do go with the 2000 series, parang you can live with the performance. Like the games won't need 3000 level speed until like 5 years down the line. For me, it's a really difficult question kasi nasa tao yun eh. Parang swak ba sa budget mo yung 2060? Can you wait for the 3000 or is your PC super old? I mean, there are so many factors coming into play. And even factors outside of your control, we don't know. Like, we don't know when we're getting the 3000 series. Sana soon because a lot of people are asking, but hindi talaga namin masabi. How far will the price drop of the 2000 series? We also don't know. We're still waiting. Although, I do note that some of our suppliers are giving us rebates for the 2060s, the 2000 series we still have. So even on the, kumbaga on the retailer side, sinasabi na ng mga distributors, okay, kung may stock ka pa nung we'll give you rebate. So there is a push dito sa back end, dito sa supply end ng chain na let's, the prices of the 2000 series will drop in preparation for the 3000. Tapos, hindi yun nanggagaling sa retailers, mismo sa mga distro na yan, na ganun yung, they started to do that push. However, I have not seen magkano ba talaga yung rebate, so hindi ko rin talaga masabi how much is the price difference. So, the short answer is, I don't know. It's really up to you. The long answer is all of the stuff I just said. Ang dami kasing factors talaga involved. But what do you guys think?
Well, I mean, from the build area from the store, we have a lot of customers now who are buying new rigs with top-end processors and mobos. Tapos, sobrang chipipay naman yung GPU in preparation of the arrival. So parang they're making the airport in preparation for the airplane to land.
That's what they're doing right now. Kasi kanina, we were talking about how easy it is to swap out a graphics card. So yun nga, ngayon, mahirap to get all the parts. But if you can get all the other parts first, if you're gonna do a full new rig, then that way you just need to wait for the new graphics card to arrive. What you can do now is you can get the other parts, which are already here, like the higher end processor and then your case and so forth. That way, when you go hunting, you just need to look for one part, not several. Because most of customers right now are looking for so many different parts. It takes time to find them all.
I did read some discussion threads on this about yung impact ng 390s, 380, 3080s, 3090s sa the existing stock to 2060. Yung one comment that really stuck to me was that Nvidia has a pretty good supply chain. So while there may be some leftover stocks, it won't be such of a glut na
The prices
sobrang
will.
bagsak nung
Uh,
yeah. So if you're expecting a 50% off drop,
yeah.
it might not be. So and right now, as Anton said, even the distributors don't know pa how much of a rebate they'll be giving the retailers. And syempre yung retailer naman, it depends pa kanya kung how much of that rebate will be passed on to the customer. So if you really want to play now and madami ka ng games na gustong laruin, that's one of the factors you have to consider, whether you are willing to wait to put on hold your experience just for the 3090 or the 3080s, whichever.
For me, I when I'm asked if it's a good time to upgrade, especially if it's a GPU, if you're currently having no issues, I personally don't recommend upgrading just for the sake of upgrading, because the hype is so high right now, and the fact that AMD is also going to release theirs, and then everything's just coming together at the end of this year. So if you're running your game smoothly and you really have no actual need, I would just suggest holding back first, especially knowing that once they arrive, better versions, like maybe an S version will come out later. Manufacturers will have better cooling systems or heat sinks. So basically, buy if you need it. So if your PC is dying and you've been itching to upgrade, definitely go for it. But if you don't need to, just hold out as long as you can.
I agree with that general sentiment. Or ako, general rule of thumb ko, don't go with the hype. Huwag ka masyadong magpadala sa, yun nga, it's easy kasi na, 2,000, 3,000 series, sobrang bilis, and then but yun nga, if you can wait, I also prefer, that's usually my general advice also na, steady lang, relax lang. It's not, if you have a good card pa naman ngayon, there's no need to upgrade right away, or, ayun lang, parang yeah, my general rule of thumb is also yung kind of just relax lang. Try to resist the hype if you can. But of course, yun nga, depends on your use case kung kailangan mo na talaga ng bagong PC. But I mean, to be honest, yun nga, yung sa akin, RX 480s lang naman. I'm still playing all of the games I want to play. Okay pa naman. Hindi siya RTX on, but kaya pa naman. Of course, baka paglabas ni Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
Baka
Mention na move yun eh.
oo nga, baka ibang, but at least, diba, more time to wait. More time to Oscar from Facebook, back to the cloning of trying to get the stuff from a hard drive to the SSD. He says he used Samsung Magician, and so far, walang problema yung cloning. Is this one of the programs you tried, Marv, for your brother? Samsung Magician?
My brother didn't use Samsung, but I've tried to clone drives using Samsung, but non-OS drives.
Okay.
So, in terms of cloning non-OS drives, everything was perfect with the Samsung Magician. So, if pero paglipat, but then again, you never know kasi sometimes yun nga, the SATA cable could be bad. So, it could be the software was working perfectly, but the SATA cables that you used were either not seated correctly, or it's not a compatible one or it's degraded for some reason, then yeah, it could have been a bad image pa rin to such a critical level that because look what he said. He said he can't update Windows 10. And one of the few things that can turn off Windows 10, I mean, it's pretty robust. Eh. You can't turn off Windows 10 update. They made it so, diba? So if you can't update
Irritating.
hardware, there's a hardware problem or a software problem. The other option is you might have a virus. Diba? Parang, yun.
Okay. Sorry, we're running a bit late, pero let's just go through the questions. From Edison, opinion on his PC. It's an R5 2600, GTX 1660 Super, 16 gigabytes of RAM, 500 gigabytes hard drive, 120 gigabyte SDD. And the thing is, I'm having issues regarding startup. It used to be okay. Apparently, yung dati niyang GPU is RX 580. When he upgraded to the 1660 Super, the monitor is stuck on black screen when I turn it on. Is this a mobo issue or PSU?
Oh,
I
black
think
screen.
I think we answered a very similar question earlier. So I would definitely start with the drivers and cleaning them out. So sorry, he's with Nvidia now. He came from
Galing siyang RX 580, so AMD.
there.
Yeah.
That
Sorry.
you can clean out the drives easily, and then just try to reinstall the latest version of Nvidia.
Sorry, we had the video drop a little bit. But I think we're back now. Wait, we are not. Teka. The stream's still going. It's just na the video's out, but we can continue with audio. Sorry,
Okay.
and then I'll get the video back up.
Okay.
If
Yeah, go,
go
Marv.
ahead, Rocky.
No, go ahead, Marv.
Because if he's saying that it's stuck on black screen from the get-go, as in tipong he turns on his computer and then there is a black screen, it's not progressing beyond the black screen. He should also try checking if he inserted the GPU correctly.
It's me again. Sorry. Sorry.
The camera died. Your your phone died.
No, I'm okay. It's just that on the Discord wala na akong like I'm gone.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
just realized.
But wait, sorry.
Try to turn on your cam again.
Okay si Droid Cam eh. But sorry, sige, go ahead. I'll work it out.
The graphics card going black. Just remove the new one and put back your old graphics card to see if it will go back to normal. In which case, you know that it's either the new graphics card which is defective or it's a software problem affecting the drivers. If your old graphics card also doesn't work na, then you know na it's most probably a software problem because you introduced something new into the system. RJ, what's your opinion about that? Let's say he takes it out, he puts back his old one. Tapos the old one ayaw na rin gumana. Most probably, hindi ba rin? It's a software.
Well, first of all, if he just came from AMD and then tried instantly downloading or updating Nvidia, and then he would like to test it out with that method, you'll still really have to clean both drivers out, because if you're testing the AMD card with Nvidia drivers installed and an Nvidia card with AMD drivers installed, you're just asking for more issues. So if all the drivers are cleaned out, that's when you can test if it just works. But then of course it's going to be pixelated. The native resolution might not be appearing. So yeah, just definitely, as what Marvin mentioned, it could just be a loose connection also.
Okay, sorry.
Especially-
Go ahead. Sorry, RJ. No, I was able to restore video to Marvin and RJ. I'm still working on every time, man. There's always I was talking to one of our front end, the back end guy, and I'm like, we've done 4 streams. Out of those 4 streams, 2 times na nagka-issue sa video. And then this is the fifth stream, and then 3rd with an issue. But anyway, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. Did he mention which card?
It's a
In
1660, tas galing siyang RX
Okay.
580. Or
580.
570? Sorry.
I was gonna mention
580.
actually, it's not a very large card. Actually, with mine, especially let's say Rockies, the 2080 Ti, having loose connections is more free can happen more often or is prone to that scenario because of the weight alone of these larger cards. So what you
Mm.
have now, if you especially if you check Lazada, um, there are called like risers. It's
Mhm.
just basically like this rubber stand
Yeah,
that
yeah.
helps your graphics card
Yeah.
stand up
Ah,
because
Not your
there are,
pillar?
yeah, right. So everyone's going nuts. You can buy a deep cool one with RGB blinking and all. So
RGB.
RGB everything. So yeah, I it's going away from the question, but in relation to disconnection, I think it's becoming more or it's more prone as the graphics card is heavier.
Okay.
Mm.
I've gotten everybody back except me, so okay na yan. Let's just go on to the questions. Next question is okay, sorry. We've actually come to the last bit of the questions na. This is from a customer. Bumili si customer ng NZXT H510i. Tapos yung
Ah.
concern ni customer, defective daw yung front panel USB-C. Kasi plinug in naman niya from the front panel to the motherboard, pero hindi gumagana. So much so na ayaw mag-boot up ng computer. But that's not that's not the whole story. Then later on he messaged us na sorry, mali pala hinala ko. Okay na pala sir, no worries. It was just reversed. So if you want I mean to be fair, apparently it's easy to confuse yung USB slot for type C. You can plug it in the wrong way and yun nga, it won't work but it won't fritz out anything. But if you flip it the right way, dun siya gagana. Hindi maganda yung I mean like it's not like other connectors kasi it's very clear what direction you should plug it in eh. But apparently itong si bagong type C, you can plug it in both ways but only one way is correct. So good to know. Actually we do get a lot like this na nagbe-message na, uy, sira yung binenta mo, and then after a few fiddling around, either we try to coach them through things or they figure it out on their own. Wala palang problema yung hardware. It was a user issue. At ito nga yung mahirap kung bibili ka lang nung parts and you're not too familiar. At least if you get a full rig from us, we'll figure it out for you. Like, we'll do the installation and things like that. But at least this customer didn't break anything. Gumana na yung USB Type-C after he plugged it in the right way.
Related to that, like when we're talking about building the rig and then the PC just gets to the customer,
We had a customer complain about his mobile Wi-Fi not working. Na bakit hindi naman gumagana, pero gumagana naman sa store. And then so back and forth kami, and then finally he realized he did not attach the antenna. Nasa
The
box
Wi-Fi,
pa
yeah.
yung antenna, yung Wi-Fi antenna. So and then yun, sometimes nga talaga it's it's just the small basic things. And then ano pa ba? Yeah, yung display port, like they keep attaching the display port stuff to the mobo and not the graphics card. So walang video.
Actually, I want to come up nga with a parang basic fact na this is where you plug this in once we send the PC out to the customer. But well, that's something else we can look into para less hindi, less anxiety.
Parang checklist.
Yeah.
Kasi
That's helpful.
a nice lady bought a PC from us, and then she was like, "Where do I plug the monitor in?" I know this is a silly question, but it was very easy because she just took a picture of the back of her PC. Tapos I screenshotted it and I drew a big red circle na here you put it in there kung HDMI yan or DisplayPort or USB-C. Did you guys
Right.
know that you can use USB-C now as a way to connect your monitor to the PC? I did not know that. Recent lang yan.
USB-C is
In
becoming
your monitors.
slowly standard.
Okay,
For
but as a
everything.
monitor, I did
A lot
not
of
know na
things.
it would connect. Kala ko, yun, fast charging lang yung USB-C.
Even headphones, if you get a new phone now, wala nang 3.5 jack.
Yeah.
I heard
It's all
that. I heard that iPad will have. I mean, iPad Pro ba or iPad Air will have USB-C. Did I get that right? One of them is USB-C, hindi na Lightning cable.
See,
Oh,
that's a good thing.
Yeah, I might have heard wrong, but that's what I remember.
Okay, sorry, couldn't. Ito na lang. Okay. The next question is, malapit na rin tayo. Next question. Ay, sorry, itong overlay. Gods. Okay. Okay, so that's the USB Type-C guy. This is just like a general thank you. Thank you so much. I'm about to build my PC. A lot of, kasi yun nga, some of the things we take for granted na sobrang delay, like yung saan ipa-plug in yung monitor, but hindi gumagana to. Actually, kasi for a lot of people, it's really very technical, and we do try to make it easy. Even if you're not our customer, yun nga, we do this show, we take questions. A lot of the FB messages that Rafael replies to are people who will never buy from us. They're just really, they need help, and they don't know who to turn to, and we really try as much as possible. Di naman sa, bubuhat ng sariling bangko, but we really put a lot of time and effort. And our panel also, like our panel doesn't need to be here on a Friday night, pero we basically just force them. Ginilti lang namin sila na, kasi do us a favor. But yeah, so and it's really nice when people do say thank you, because we really do try to put a lot of effort into it, and even though they are not Hardware Sugar customers, yeah, so we do appreciate it when people say thanks, and thank you for saying thank you. Next is, hello po, mag-i-inquire. Okay, I remember why. How much po yung maganda na PC build na bagay for video rendering? Pang-edit na hindi naglalag, and at the same time pwede po pang gaming. Yung kaya sana HD videos. Yung pinaka-affordable pero maganda po yung performance. Magkano po abot? Actually, I put this question in personally because we get this question all the time. Ano yung best for editing? Ano best for gaming? Ano yung best price? Ang hirap sagutin to. Yun nga, kasi the best price is what you can afford. And to be honest, wala naman talagang sobrang laking difference between gaming tsaka between editing. Kung office type PC lang na pang basic Windows, pang basic surfing, yun, sobrang you don't need to pay a lot. But kasi these kind of questions na best price or best performance, it's really hard to answer that kasi we don't know your budget, and there's not really a lot of price differentiation between a high-end rig. A high-end rig will take anything that you need, and it'll do it. You need gaming, it'll do it. Streaming, it'll do it. Video editing, kaya niya yun. So, to be honest, mahirap tong tanong na to kasi sobrang general. Tas yung mindset na kailangan the best lahat, best performance, best price, magkaiba yun eh. Yung price tsaka yung performance, talagang hiwalay yun.
Can I just cut in? Okay, I've had 5 people message me the past 3 days. Yung tanong is, ano yung best na PC na 23,000 peso budget but high graphics AAA games? I mean, that's a miracle. Okay, it's a miracle. You're gonna get a 23,000 peso PC tapos high graphics yung COD. It's impossible. Okay, I mean, we all want to have.
Sana all, di ba? Sana.
Yeah, sana all.
Yeah.
But that's just not how the market works. So I think what we should advise is step by step. What can you afford? And then second is anong priorities.
Yeah, what do you need?
If gaming is secondary, then don't focus on a graphics card. Put more money on the CPU.
Wait, can I just cut in? After I said na thank you for saying thank you, thank you si Lloyd Padilla via YouTube. So, thanks so much, Lloyd, for for saying thank you.
And we got $50.
Yeah, he said
Thanks,
50
Lloyd.
Thanks, Lloyd. Uy, sabi ko lang thank you for saying thank you. Di naman kailangan na may ano. Yeah. But what does the panel think? Ang hirap ng mga tanong na to, yung best price or best performance.
It's per tier.
at 23,000 hanggang 560 lang siya or something. That's
Right.
the 560, that's 5,000. A cheap motherboard, it's 3,000.
PSU, but you don't want to
Kung,
cheap
kung,
out also too much on the PSU.
kung wala pa siyang monitor, yung pa, hindi pa natin alam kung may monitor siya o hindi. Diba?
Actually, sometimes people really expect also the monitor and peripherals to be inside the package of 25,000. So, medyo mahirap rin.
Yeah. I think guys, I'm not part of I'm not part of the store per se, but I think what would be really helpful, and since Hardware Sugar naman is willing to really support you, is to trust them and tell them your budget. Tell them your budget, and then they will tell you if what you want is feasible or not. Kasi I know where you're coming from. You don't want to tell the shop the budget because you're afraid na baka i-upsell kayo ng shop. But as you can see from this show,
We not
ito
like
lang
that.
yata yung shop na will not trick you into buying beyond what you need. If you want something high-end, Hardware Sugar will sell it to you. But if need ang pinag-uusapan na may budget kayo, Hardware Sugar, you saw from the show itself. So trust Hardware Sugar to meet your budget. Tell them the budget.
Thanks, Marv. Actually, I need to connect with that. I've already downgraded several rigs already on Facebook. They've asked they requested for a 750 watt. I told them they just need a 550 watt. So ako pa yung nagda-downgrade sa mga specs nila most of the time. Because if you don't need it, don't buy it. I mean, if you just need this, then
Right.
go.
For the specifically for what he mentioned, kung 23,000, and if he wants it the whole package, I would even highly recommend just shifting to the used market, or maybe some
That's a
brand
good one.
some brand new or some used, because yeah, you can get a 2600X CPU for 6K brand new, and then maybe everything else is used. Mukhang kaya naman.
Actually, the secondary market is a good option as long as you're it's like kind of like a used car, diba? If you know what you're doing, you can find good choices. Like my own graphics cards nga were both second hand, tas ginamit ko pa sa mining. So kaya na, yeah, the secondary market is the second hand market is a good option as long as maybe you have a friend who knows what the proper specs are. And but if it's too good a deal, that rule always applies regardless kung computer, kung kotse, or anything. Kung masyadong maganda yung presyo, it's usually too good to be true. So medyo within the ballpark naman, wag ka maganap nung 2018 na 10,000 lang or something. I mean, parang scam yun. I mean, kulang na lang na. Oh. But yeah, if you can find a good and we do actually there were some people asking in the YouTube comments. We do actually have second-hand items. We do have a separate price list for that. Pero yung mga ginamit namin sa YouTube reviews na like, saglit lang, or sometimes a customer wants bought something from us and wants something else. So we are so we do have a couple in a separate sheet. Sorry, just last, see Lloyd Padilla has a question. Any substitute for the Corsair QL120 RGB? The QL120 is the latest from Corsair, so it's very pretty. Pero actually, we are getting the Deepcool CF120 Pro, which they've rejiggered it so there are more lights. I mean,
Nice.
basically yan yung thing ng QL, parang sobrang ganda ng ilaw niya. Yung CF120 Pro, the Deepcool kasi is much lower price than Corsair, but also good value and good quality. And the 120 Pro looks to be very nice looking. We're gonna get it tomorrow, I think. So we might have it up by the weekend, so that you might want to consider that. Although yun nga, if you already have Corsair, hindi yun gagana sa IQ mo. So it's a different, RGB thing, which is a whole other can of worms. Sorry guys, it's already 11 o'clock. We've overshot our time again. Parang naiya na ako sa panel. Do you guys have for the panel, any last minute thoughts that you wanna get out?
None on my end.
I guess hintay lang muna magka-stock sa RTX.
Hold lang, hold.
Hold lang.
Well, that's it for me. Thanks so much for watching. And ayun, so we'll just go through the latest schedule. So our next show is, sorry, naka-cover kasi yung webcam ko. Di ko makita yung schedule. October 4 Sunday is In the Industry with Mika Fabella. She is the general manager of the Philippine Overwatch team. Pero sobrang interesting din tong resume ni Mika. She is also an esports correspondent for TV5, and then she parang is into lightsabers. Parang we were doing some background. Yes, light
She trains Jedis.
I mean, diba?
For Star Wars shows, for Star Wars performances. And she also appeared on Globe ads when the Star Wars movie came out.
And then
so she also poses and models for it. But yun nga, she teaches people how to wield lightsabers. That is a triangle yan. Naka-light yan lahat ng mga lightsabers. And she's teaching them how to swing them to make it look cool.
Yes, we're gonna ask her about the fighting stances. Like, I really want to know. Kasi Ahsoka has the parang behind the back. Di ba parang each Jedi has their own stances.
Yeah.
And then Mika was also a Disney princess. So very interesting resume also to continue our In the Industry segment. Our show rather. And then Puwede Magtanong comes back October 9 and 16. Both are usual times on Friday. October 18 for another In the Industry. We're kind of looking at several guests. We still haven't decided yet kung sino, but we'll update that as soon as we settle on one. And then finally, the last show for October is October 25 with The Shop, where we're live from Hardware Sugar. And sige, yung huling payo na lang galing kay Revin Jan, who says, wag masyadong salty, Kuya Rafael, sa mga posts sa Facebook. So, ikaw yan, that's not me, man. I'm super chill. I'm super chill in the Facebook posts. Di ako yan.
I think yung salty post is yung
It's a Globe. Yeah.
Globe. Pero, hello, how can you not be salty? Grabe.
Mika says time na for Valorant, Lodi RJ. So on that note, thanks so much for watching. Thanks very much.
Peace out, everyone.
Yeah. Have a good weekend.
Good night. Happy
Bye-bye.
weekend.
That